And we have with us the chairman of the House Subcommittee on Immigration, Congressman Trey Gowdy of South Carolina. Congressman, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Congressman, I know you took your recess to go out to California with Congressman Denham, and you met with a community out there, a big agriculture district. You met with the Hispanic community as well. What did you get out of those meetings in terms of the discussion of immigration?
Well, you put your finger on the two largest takeaways for me. Number one, every one of the 435 districts is different. And Jeff's, while my district in South Carolina does have an agricultural presence, agriculture may very well be the single biggest industry in Jeff's district. So the guest worker program is hugely important. And my district in upstate South Carolina would have a much smaller Latino population than Jeff's district. So just hearing the stories of families being separated, hearing stories of children coming as early as 10 months old.
Right.
It's hard to legislate by personal anecdote.
Right.
Because obviously stories like that tug at everyone's heartstrings. You don't want to legislate simply for that reason, but it is still very instructive and informative to hear, again, that the decisions we make have real-life consequences for lots of people.
Well, you mentioned the guest worker program, and, liberals and the unions hate the idea of a guest worker program.
Yes, they do.
And it seems to me that the only way to really fix this problem is to manage future flows. If American companies cannot find the American workers that they need, it seems to me as a free market conservative, they should be able to bring legally and in a timely fashion the foreign workers that they may need. Is that a concept that House Republicans are looking at?
Yes. You put your finger on something that's also very different from my district and Jeff Denham's. Unions do not have much of a presence in South Carolina in general, and certainly not in my district. One of the few moments of acrimony while I was out there was a union rep advocated for a 15,000 person cap. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you must be talking about for the county that we're in right now.
Yeah.
And he was talking about for the country. So, okay, that would not. I talked to lots and lots of farmers from asparagus to wine, and we can debate the reasons why there is a worker shortage. Part of it's an aging population. I can tell you my own district. When I talk to my farmers, you can advertise until the Lord comes back. You're not going to get
right
American citizens for a plethora of reasons, but they're not going to apply. And if they do apply, they won't stay past the first break. So,
Congressman, isn't it ironic? I find this fascinating. To me, it's ironic that the unions, President Obama's friends, basic constituency, don't want to see more immigrants come here legally to work. And even President Obama, in the measures that he announced when he gave his big immigration speech in Las Vegas, didn't mention anything about new work visas.
These are constituencies that the president and other colleagues on the other side of the aisle would like to court both constituencies, and this is one of these issues where you're going to just have to decide what the right thing to do is. And the right thing to do, to me, is listen to the market. And if there's a market for legal immigrant work, whether it's at the coast in South Carolina where we have a robust tourism industry, whether it's agricultural, whether it's year-long in the dairy industry, we need a robust, easily navigated guest worker program. The current program inspires confidence in absolutely no one. Raul Labrador, who's one of my better friends in the House and is also working with a group in the House to try to produce some legislation. Raul and I were on the floor today saying, you know what, maybe it's not a national remedy. Maybe each state ought to be able to decide. I mean, we were just kind of brainstorming about ideas, but it would be fascinating if California had to decide for itself.
That makes so much sense. Our Constitution gives to the federal government the power over laws of naturalization, not immigration. Immigration doesn't happen at the federal level. It happens at the state level, in the communities, as you were saying, different districts. So I think that's a very interesting idea, allowing states to determine, the caps or how many workers they may need on a yearly basis.
And correspondingly, the state would have the responsibility because, as we know, part of the issue now is the internal security once a visa expires.
Right.
Concomitantly, the state would have the obligation, the responsibility to ensure that the visa is complied with if there's an expiration date on it. So,
exactly. And that is fair, and I think the Latino community would respond very favorably to that. And it's just it's a common sense solution. And it just seems to me that it's consistent with our federal system of government where, yes, I think that what is important also about these visas is streamlining the process because sometimes it's so overregulated.
It is overregulated. It is excessively litigious. I hear lots of complaints about lawsuits, and most people don't want to use the program because it's so onerous, and they will expire almost every other alternative before they do go to the program. And it cannot be that hard to manage a visa or guest worker program that does not make farmers and others who avail themselves of it pull their hair out. I just refuse to believe that there can't be a simpler way and a less litigious way of doing it.
Well, Congressman, it seems to me that you are looking at the right aspect and angle of the discussion, how to manage the future flows. We thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Take care.
Yes, sir. Bye.